Hi everybody, this is Paul Chapman from IBM. Today I'd just like to show you a quick demonstration of using ASP.NET.Core with the SignalR library on IBM Power Systems with OpenShift. So I'm going to kick off by just saying what we need for the demonstration. First of all, we request a TextZone demo environment. And then we access the credentials by way of the URL to access the OpenShift GUI and the password to access the Bastion, so we can use command line. Then we're going to obtain the .NET container image, and this is where this demonstration is going to start from. So I'm pulling this image from my repository in Key.io, and that's a .NET 7 for Power Systems. I'm then going to clone my GitHub project for the SignalR chat repository. Before I do that, I'm going to make a build directory and just change into that. So now we're cloning the source code project that I created using Visual Studio on my IBM laptop, so that's x86, and we're copying those files down onto the local power system. So now change directory into the project directory. I'm just going to make sure in this project I actually include both power and x86 Docker files and project files. So I'm just ensuring that we're using the power, Docker and csproj files at this stage. And then I'm going to build a container using Podman. This takes around 50 seconds or so. It doesn't take very long at all. Essentially, it uses that .NET 7 container image it pulled from Key.io. That could also come from the Red Hat container registry, a certified container. And I just comment out the relevant lines in the Docker file. So that's created the application container based on the .NET 7. And now what I'm going to do is transfer that to the internal OpenShift registry. So at the moment we're on the Bastion. So I'm going to log in as Keck user, which is the user we've been given from our TextZone demonstration unit. We're going to patch that registry so that to enable us to push the new image inside. And at this stage, I'm just logging into the OpenShift GUI to show that there is no SignalR chat project available at this stage. So back to the Bastion command line. So we run podman, we log in, we create a new project for SignalR chat. And then we push the new SignalR application container image into the registry. Now we've done that, we can create and expose, creating a route to the outside world for that application. So we've created the application, and now with the expose command, that's now accessible outside of OpenShift. So now to test it, I'm just going to run a command which will tell me the URL needed to access. So this is URL. It changes each time depending on the host name of the demonstration environment. So we can start up 3 different browsers. We've got Firefox, Chrome, and Edge. And I'm going to put that URL that was displayed earlier into all 3 of these. And this is just a browser which allows us to input a username and a message. And the SignalR library So the web page is created with ASP.NET, and then the SignalR library enables dynamic push without hitting F5 or a refresh button. So when we hit the send button, then the other browsers actually pick up on that change. There's no persistent storage on this. It's a very basic demonstration showing dynamic push without a refresh being required. So now we can see that we can put messages in all three browsers. This could be, one or hundreds of different browsers, and it will push to each of those. So moving back to the OpenShift GUI, we can see that we have got the SignalR chat that we created, and in topology we can see that application container. If we look at the details on the right hand side, we can observe and look at the CPU or the memory usage, how much network bandwidth is being used. We could scale the pod and create additional ones for resilience or just scale for performance. We can also, within the OpenShift GUI, just hit a button that opens the browser to the correct URL, and I'm just demonstrating the fourth user now sending a message. As it's not persistent storage, it's only going to see the new message on that one, but as you go to the three previous browsers, you can see the other messages there as well, and they all get the new update from the fourth user, Ian. So now we're back to the Bastion command line, and I'm just going to use the delete project command, which will remove the project and all of the containers within it. Just before I do that, we can use the podman images command, and we can see the images. First of all, the .NET 70 we got from Key.io, and then the containers that we use to build the application SignalR chat. So now if we go back in through the OpenShift GUI, we can see that SignalR chat project has now been deleted. So we're back to square one. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another project, SignalR chat again. And then I'm going to use the source to image GUI interface to create the same application, but by using the GUI instead of a command line. So this is my repository in GitHub containing the source code and the project that I created from Visual Studio on my laptop and then pushed up to GitHub. So I'm going to do a source to image deployment here, and that means hitting the builder image and specifying .NET. So then it comes up and it knows there's a .NET UBI image that it can use to deploy this, and it's now deploying that source code from GitHub directly onto OpenShift. Simply two different ways of doing the same thing via the command line that can be scripted very easily. If I script this on the command line, then everything's done in 45 to 50 seconds. If the users are more GUI orientated, then the OpenShift GUI can be used. So the build is currently running. Doesn't take very long. We're just going to take a quick look at the logs. So we can see here on lines 21 through 29 that it's actually building the container image. It's now, you can see line 62 pushed that image into the registry, which has been successful. And we can now move back to the SignalR chat topology where we see the container, the image has been built. we can hit the open URL. We're just looking at the browser for the previous deployment via the command line, so that project no longer exists, so we're refreshing each browser. So here we go, we're refreshing each of these 3 browsers now, and because that application root is no longer existing, so we're going to copy the new URL because we've built a whole new application using the GUI instead of the command line, and we're going to paste that into the 3 browsers, Firefox, Edge, and Chrome. As we do that, we can see connection to the ASP core with SignalR application. And once again, we can start putting messages in to multiple browsers, which are displayed automatically dynamic, pushed to the other browsers. We're now looking at just the 4th browser, which we followed using the GUI. And you can see that's updated the other 3 too. So this is just showing that you can see how much memory and CPU, network bandwidth, etc. via the observe functionality within the OpenShift GUI. As I said before, we could increase the number of pods just by the up and down arrow on the right hand side if we wish to. So back to the Bastion command line, and I'm going to use that simply to delete this project, OC project, OC delete project, and then SignalR chat. That's now been deleted. If we go back to the GUI, we can go to all projects and then go back, and we see that the SignalR chat project has now been removed. We can also go back to the other browsers and just refresh the connection to the application there, and because we've removed the project and the application container has also been removed, then we will obviously not be able to connect to that URL anymore, proving that we have created and removed that application. And there we have it. We've logged out now. Just a very quick and simple way of demonstrating ASP.NET Core along with the SignalR library working with .NET 7 on Power Systems and OpenShift, both via the command line and also using the source to image GUI deployment. That's all. Have a good day.